Okay, good evening, everybody. If I can ask everyone to take their seats. Call into order the regularly scheduled meeting of Town Council meeting for the Town of Stratford for January 13th, 2020 at exactly 8 p.m. We're going to first start off with the invocation and pledge, and if I can ask Councilwoman Dancho, if everyone could rise.
O Heavenly Father, grant us your guidance as we are gathered here this evening in carrying out our duties to our townspeople and helping to make our town a better place in which to live. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin, Councilman Connor is pretty sick today, so he ended up not making this meeting this evening. And also, before we begin with the approval of the minutes, I'd like to grant new councilman, Mr. Tavares, a few moments just to say a couple kind words. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Just as Chairman Pia said, my name is Paul Tavares. A 60-year resident of Stratford, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be sitting here at this table looking amongst all of you. I take the position of councilman in my beloved South End District 3 with great humility and a large sense of responsibility. I will do my best to be a representative of that district, but I want to let my colleagues know that I stand with you when it comes to matters of what make Stratford even better. You will find me to be a team player. You will find me to agree with the things we agree with. I just would ask that we respectfully discuss and find ways of compromise on things we have differences with, and with those differences that we agree to disagree. Some of you I've worked with before, Madam Mayor, Speaker. I'm surrounded by folks that I've known for over 20 years, and there's some of you that I am eager to get to know, as I hope that you will give me the same rapport. So I know I drove my wife crazy with the anxiety. I went between excitement with abject fear. So with that, my sleeves are rolled up and I'm ready to get to work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman. Item number 2 on the agenda, ceremonial presentations and awards. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I entertain a motion for approval of the minutes. Motion by Mr. O'Brien, second by Ms. Dancho. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes 9-0. So item number 2, ceremonial presentations and awards. I would like to invite Paige Hoydick to come up and present the commemoration of the 19th Amendment. And I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'm going to allow her to introduce everything. You may, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This celebration, this year-long celebration, is a collaboration with the Stratford Historical Society. Our own David Wright, who is also their own David Wright, who happens to be the author of all these pieces, and many other community partnerships will happen within the year, highlighting the 19th Amendment. And I'm very pleased, since Paige is here from home from school until Monday, that she was present. And as a student leader in her own right, I was really happy that she was able to read the first biography. Thank you, Paige.
I'd just like to thank the Town Council for allowing us to start this tradition, as well as the Stratford Historical Society for truly educating us on what makes Stratford Stratford. Can I take this off? Speak to the people. Thank you. And I also like to thank David Wright for writing this informative and beautiful piece on one of our historical activists. The first documented participant in Stratford's equal suffrage movement, of which we have records, was a woman by the name of Viviana Snowden. She went by the name of Anna Oliver in her professional life and dealings. Anna Oliver was the first woman to graduate from an American theological seminary and a pioneer Methodist Episcopal Church preacher and pastor. She was born near New Brunswick, New Jersey in 1840. Baptized Viviana Olivia Snowden, she changed her name in the early 1870s so as not to embarrass her family when she decided to enter the ministry. Educated in Brooklyn Public Schools and Rutgers Female College in New York City, Oliver began her career as a public school teacher in Connecticut. Anna moved with her parents and siblings to Norwalk before 1860. In addition to teaching, she took an active role in women's suffrage and temperance movements in her adopted state for the next 8 years. She left Connecticut before 1870 because she did not feel women's suffrage was flourishing in Norwalk. In 1868, she volunteered to teach black children in Georgia under the auspices of the American Missionary Association. Inadequate facilities, domineering male supervisors, and hostility from the Southern white community tested her commitment. A year later, when she learned that the AMA paid female teachers less than men who did the same work, Oliver resigned. She rejoined her family in Connecticut for a time, resumed her interest in women's issues, and took up painting. She soon relocated to Cincinnati, partly to study landscape painting and partly because the Ohio women's rights movement was more advanced than Connecticut's. Oliver's temperance talks in Ohio's town halls and churches encouraged her to think about becoming an ordained minister. In 1873, she enrolled in the Boston University School of Theology. Armed with a BD degree and a license to preach, Oliver assumed the pastor of the First Methodist Episcopal Church in Passaic, New Jersey, and later Willoughby Avenue Church in Brooklyn. In 1880, Oliver led an unsuccessful campaign for ordination at General Conference. Without ordination, she continued as pastor of the Willoughby Avenue congregation until 1883, when the church was abandoned. Oliver remained in Brooklyn until 1884 and devoted much energy to temperance and suffrage, dress reform, and health care for women and children. Anna moved to Stratford to live with her sister on Academy Hill about 1885. She continued to preach her message of personal holiness and social responsibility until her death in 1892 in Greensboro, Maryland. By opening her home to a growing stream of women who were pioneering ministerial roles in Victorian churches, she became a respected mentor and role model. Anna died broken in health and spirit, believing she had failed in her attempts to gain equal suffrage for women. However, Anna's niece, Lillian Snowden, took up Anna's fight for equal suffrage after the turn of the 20th century and became one of Stratford's prominent suffragettes. While Anna was likely not the founder of the Stratford Equal Suffrage Association, her shadow loomed large in its founding. While Anna died in 1892, she left a portion of her estate to her nieces for their college educations and another portion to the National Women's Suffrage Association. Interestingly, Frank Sammis, town manager Donald Sammis's father, took Anna's last will and statement to Stratford's probate court following Anna's passing. It should come as no surprise that Elizabeth Sammis, Frank's wife, became a leader in Stratford's suffrage association in the early 1900s. Frank Sammis was considered the father of the town manager council form of government when it opened and was adopted in 1921. However, it was the women of Stratford whose majority vote made the change of government possible. The Bridgeport Evening Farmer wrote in 1912 that Stratford's suffrage movement was awakening from its 50-year sleep. Stratford suffrage leaders at that time had been all active in the temperance movement and in the Missionary Association of Stratford. It's highly likely that these Stratford suffrage leaders had been inspired, at least in part, by Anna Oliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paige. Item number 3 on the agenda, communications, bills, petitions.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to strike item 3.1 as this letter of resignation is not necessary as the person was sworn into another elected office.
I'll entertain that motion. Do I have a second by Mr. O'Brien? Any discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Mr. Poisson. Item number 4, Mayor's report.
Thank you, Chairman. Happy and healthy New Year, everyone. It was quite enlightening and exciting to have all the youth here as we can celebrate their successes this past December. In recent events, the Stratford Army Engine Plant witnessed a public hearing held by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on December 12th at the Baldwin Center regarding the feasibility planning for abating the mudflats. There were more than 100 people in attendance, and the report's on the town website under All News, and if councilors, if you would like the link to that, Margot can provide it to you. We held the menorah lighting on the third day of Hanukkah. Trying to remember, the 23rd, I think it was. Thank you, Council Sheikh. And we'd like to thank Rabbi Joe Stock of Michigan Israel Day Camp, who for the third year running presided over the menorah lighting on Town Hall Green. Wallet Hub rates Stratford, as I'm pleased to announce that the financial site Wallet Hub rated us as one of the best small cities. In this nationwide ranking, 22 communities made the list, and of those, Stratford ranked fifth best. The site scores communities on affordability, economic health, education, health, quality of life, and safety. We celebrated the Aaron's Gym solar array on the other day when we unveiled 231 new solar panels on the roof of Aaron's Gym, and that happened on January 9th. The system is generating new, clean, renewable electricity and is another great addition to the town's efforts to produce a greater sustainable energy production that saves money and saves the environment. The Stratford Police Activities League is earning national attention for their police engagement program, focused on diffusing potentially volatile situations and creating dialogue between the community and the police. They are beginning to serve as a national model for other departments to follow on creating awareness, and they were featured on News 12 with Senator Blumenthal this week. And Elf the Musical was performed at the Stratford Recreation Department 1639 at Worcester Middle School this past weekend and was a resounding success. My thanks to all who participated under the direction of Kevin Miller. The Stratford Brakettes will play against the 2020 U.S. Softball Women's National Team on June 19th as part of the Stand Beside Her tour to the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. This doubleheader will be held at Frank DeLuca Field, and the first game will begin at 5:30 p.m. Tickets for the event went on sale. If you had some difficulty getting to the website, it is now fixed, so buy your tickets. I think they're going fast. The 19th Amendment. This year, 2020, marks the 100th anniversary of the women winning the right to vote in the United States. The town of Stratford has a unique heritage and history of residents who were instrumental in this cause. We are planning a number of ways to commemorate this anniversary organized by the Stratford Historical Society. As you witnessed during the town council meetings, there will be brief presentations throughout the year about a significant resident who led the way for change during this time. Gaetano's was named the best deli by Connecticut Food Network for Connecticut. I have some employee recognition. We'd like to congratulate Ron Ng, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management, on his obtaining his certificate as a certified Connecticut municipal official from the State Conference of Municipalities. Congratulations to Kevin Morrissey, who has 50 years of service to the town. We celebrated Kevin's anniversary today. EMS Director Mike Louise was featured in Nice Profile, and we have a vacancy of the Deputy Chief in the Fire Department. The position was posted on the town website. Upcoming events, Shakespeare Subcommittee. Today marks the 1-year anniversary that the fire claimed the iconic Shakespeare Theater. The first meeting of the Shakespeare Subcommittee will take place on Thursday, January 16th at 6 p.m. in Council Chambers. We are grateful to all those who served on the Shakespeare Property Task Force last year and the citizens who came out to have their voices heard. The subcommittee will now begin the task of investigating the feasibility for those uses on the site that were based on the sentiment expressed by the residents during that process. Christmas tree collection will continue through February 7th. Residents should place their discarded trees on the roadside or on the planting strip where it can be seen easily and collected. They should not be bagged or covered. Additionally, the town is in its second year of recycling old holiday lights. Place them in your regular blue bin. Stratford Sister City's winter concert will be held on Sunday, February 9th at 2 p.m. here in these chambers. And if you remember when they came and they sang for us a little over a year ago, the acoustics were unbelievably beautiful. So I encourage you all to come. They're requesting that you bring a food donation for Sterling House at that time. Ongoing projects, the work is continuing with the developers for the affordable housing projects on 3044 Main Street and the TOD projects at Center School and 1969 Main Street. Route 110 and Exit 32 road projects are continuing on schedule and on budget. I guess that's important too. Radar remediation is also continuing on schedule, and work continues at the Baldwin Center. The roof is being completed, and the elevator will be modernized for a new car, jacks, shaft, piston, and controllers. Due to the elevator repair, the lower level will be temporarily closed. Additional work includes new flooring in the cafe and clinic, and the interior will be repainted. I have some council appointments to commissions. On Booth Park, Councilman Connor and Hardin. On Conservation, Councilwoman Dancho. On Longbrook Park, Councilwoman Shake and Councilman Perillo. Economic Development, Councilman Connor. Short Beach, Councilman Pia and Hardin. Roosevelt, Councilman O'Brien. And the Green and Sustainable Task Force, Councilman O'Brien. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Questions for the mayor from the council? Eddie? Mr. Cannon? Yes, sir.
Hello, Mayor Hoydick. Questions about affordable housing and the Housing Partnership Committee, that from, say, Avalon to Ferry Boulevard and James Farm, affordable housing has been a public issue for some time. Now, the state statute 830G, we'll refer to it, it sets guidelines for both municipalities and developers. And the Stratford Housing Partnership was formed under these guidelines, and its intent seems to be to facilitate solutions to the town's development of affordable housing. The partnership has not met for nearly 10 years. And two questions is, one, how, if the committee was reformed, how would we see it as benefiting delivering solutions in that area of affordable housing? And there's a motion tonight on this housing partnership, the rationale for reducing from 2 to 4 the number of business members and the number of public members.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Hey.
Thank you. So the 830G statute has changed and been modified several times in the since I've been in the State General Assembly. The Stratford Housing Partnership has not met for many years prior to me becoming mayor. Part of the reason they have not met is because they lack quorum. Asking the council to review the ordinance and review within the statutory guideline the membership is what I'm proposing, that we have this discussion so we can, if possible, develop the housing plan and obtain a moratorium against affordable housing, actually predatory affordable housing developments.
Any other questions for the mayor? Okay, moving on.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
Yes, Councilwoman Shea.
Sorry,
Yep.
Chairman. Someone had brought up, one of our residents had brought up Shakespeare, and I'm glad to know that we have a subcommittee that is going to be meeting later this week. Just for my own clarification, because I am new to the council, in regards to the state report for Shakespeare, I didn't see that published anywhere. Has it been published in regards to the investigation of what had happened?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
You may.
Councilman Shake, I'll have to get back to you because it's under investigation. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't published yet, but I will confirm. Either Mike or I will get back to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. Excellent. Thank you very much. Item 4.3.1. I'll entertain a motion for the Parks and Rec Committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
Parks and Rec Committee held a regular meeting on December 5th and referred the following item to the council with a favorable recommendation: naming of the driveway leading to police station for Gene Freeman and Dick Cahill, both long-serving high-level police personnel. I move that the naming of the driveway leading to the police station for Gene Freeman and Dick Cahill be and is hereby approved.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. Dave Hardin. Any discussion on this? Mr. Hardin?
I had the opportunity to work with Gene Freeman, and I was about 16 years old at the time. And his morning ritual was a buttered roll from Dunkin' Donuts, a coffee, and a cigarette, where he always managed to get the ashes on his uniform. He was great. He was an awesome police officer. He even invited me over to his house on Freeman Avenue, I believe it was. And no better way to honor him and the other gentleman but to have the driveway named after him. And I know he passed several years ago. I was about 16 years old. And he did something that we'd never, ever see again. He allowed me to drive a police car.
Thank you, Mr. Hardin. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. Both these gentlemen served in the police force for over 40 years. As we honored Kevin Morrissey today for 50 years of service, there were no police officers that worked for more than 40 years, and that's why we felt that it was really a just tribute to have the entrance named with them, and their names will be like a street sign above the pole at the entrance to the police station.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 9-0. Item 4.4, Town Attorney's Report.
Mr. Chairman, no report other than we ask that you add to the agenda the acquisition of certain real property by the town and that we discuss this in executive session this evening.
I'll entertain that motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Dancho.
I motion to go into an executive session to discuss the purchase of real property by the town of Stratford, as discussion in public may likely affect the price of such acquisition. I'd like to call those into executive session shall be the council members that are here tonight, the mayor, town attorneys Leclerc and Floric, and Chris Timniak and Mike Downs.
So, Ms. Dancho, we have to add this onto the agenda first. So would you like to rephrase your motion to add to the agenda?
Yes, I'll rephrase my motion to add to the agenda that we move into executive session.
I'll entertain a second for that. Second by Mr. Poisson. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, we'll vote to add it to the agenda. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It's now on the agenda. Ms. Dancho, would you like to restate?
Yes, I'll continue that I make the motion to go into an executive session to discuss the purchase of real property by the town of Stratford, as discussion in public may likely affect the price of such acquisition. And in executive session, I'd like to call all town councilors, including the mayor and attorneys Leclerc and Floric, as well as Chris Timniak and Mike Downs.
Do I have a second for that? Seconded by Ms. Hardin. Mr. Hardin, any discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Please signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. We'll go into executive session. Thank you.